Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Door Shutter coming back to you with episode 49 of Direwolf20's 1.18 mod pack, and today we're actually going to be looking further into the ore tripling system. So, I have built out 4 more of these and actually have configured them all to a specific raw material. The reason I've only set up 4, though, is because the rest of the materials we have in this actually cannot be used in this system. So, with that being said, this is all we can do as long as we don't want those materials, right? So, we can actually set up a separate system, which is what I'm going to do today to process these ores because we can still run them through like the enrichment chamber. And I don't think we can really do too much with this. Okay, so we can still run this through like the enrichment chamber and just get that extra piece every once in a while. I don't think there's really any other way. So with this one, you can do iridium dust. So 1 to 1, right? 1 to 2. Okay. 1 to 1. I mean, you could basically double this, but that all of a sudden became hellfire. I don't know what in the world that was about. So iridium. Oh, it's not specific. So actually, if we look for it, we have to find iridium. Which is on here somewhere. So yeah. So that'd be 200, and then it becomes 1 dust. So you could double it with industrial foregoing, which I mean isn't terrible, right? We could definitely look into ore doubling with that, but we would need liquid meat, which we have access to, just not a whole lot. So real quick, let's actually look at something here. So the problem with this whole setup, and I've actually added these ultimate chemical tanks in between as buffer points, just so you guys know, is you can see that we have a major backlog because this isn't able to keep up. And I'm not 100% sure how to really take care of this because we kind of limited ourselves in space with this. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to accept a little bit of defeat and grab some entangled blocks. I was trying not to use these too much, but using them for this is not going to be too bad, I don't believe. So what I want to do is I actually want to run out 4 more of these, and I think this may not work. This is honestly another test. I love testing while on camera. So we're gonna grab this tank. All right, so we'll get this tank copied over here, this tank copied over here, and we'll run these cables. And I have some of the chemical crystallizers in here because I did actually make every single actual setup for every single raw ore, and then I realized, oh, some of these don't have a recipe for that. So yeah, I kind of just destroyed those. All right, are we able to actually export? Okay, it does not look like it. So am I able to take a gas pipe? I don't even know if I can actually gas pipe out of these, but let's see. So if we go here, slurries, output. No. Okay. So what in mechanism would allow for me to get a slurry out of here? Let's see. At mech ultimate. So we've got fluids, gases, items, blocks, heats. Would this be what we need? Or would I want to do gases? Let's just make a gas pressurized tube thing and see if this would actually do what we need it to do. So let's go gases. Okay. So a gas pipe from mechanism will do the job, and it doesn't need to be fast, I assume, for this job to work. And we've actually caused an issue here. So let's do none. And let's clear out these pressurized tubes because they are full of slurry now. So we'll do that. Come over here, smack this a few times, put that there, smack this a few times, smack that down. All right, so then we're going to need to do it here as well. Kind of just be cautious, right? Smack this here, smack this one here. And then, of course, we can do export, import, export, import, export, import. And then, of course, we'll need to come over here and toggle all of these. Okay. So we can, of course, then grab some mechanism speed upgrades. So app mech upgrade. And then, of course, we'll need to get these to the respective factories. So let's actually just do more entangled blocks here. And boop, boop. There we go. There we go. And there we go. All right, so we should be importing. Everything should be good. This will just increase production, right? So now we need to actually get into something more important. We're going to worry about the raw ores in a little while, if not this episode, next episode, because I actually want to get into reactors. So I don't know if I was 100% clear on which reactors I really want to get into, but I think we're going to get into big reactors, or extreme reactors. What is it called now? Extreme reactors now. And later down the line, we're going to get into the fission and other reactors and mechanism later. I don't really want to touch on those just yet because I always love messing around with extreme reactors and seeing what it offers. So let's get into that, right? All right, so let's get rid of this tome and the extreme book. All right, so with this, here is your base reactor, okay? This is going to be your smallest, and of course you're going to need, it looks like this is a bit bugged instead of iron. Not 100% sure what's happening there, but you need reactor casing, graphite bars, and we're actually kind of, this recipe is just really weird, I'm not sure. So reactor glass, yeah, this is not reactor glass, by the way. This is a reactor casing. This is reactor glass. This is a reactor control rod, which is the basic. So it looks like we've got tiers now. Control rod. Actually, no, this is the controller. This is the control rod. This is the actual reactor port. This is a fuel rod. And this is the power tap. Okay. So that is our first bit of goal, is to actually get the first reactor. And of course, there are different ores added in by extreme reactors. This is actually replaced with uranium ore from mechanism. This one, I don't think I've actually seen too much of. Benatite, I think we might have some. Yeah, benatite and andesite, whatever, which are the two ores that are added other than uranium. Yellowite, that's what it's called. Uranium, basically. Alrighty. So this just goes into kind of different things. Here's passive cooling. Your reactor, you can also have variants. Yeah, so here's the reinforced variant. Lets you build a reactor as big as you need or want to generate and store extreme amounts of energy. The maximum size is up to 256 blocks. Can be set by player, mod pack makers, or server admins. Okay. And then basic, of course, maximum size is 5x5. So there's a very big trade-off between basic and reinforced. Of course, we want to shoot for reinforced probably immediately. Radiation moderator is a blocker fluid that can be placed inside the reactor to absorb part of the radiation emitted by the fuel and move heat away from the fuel rods. Alrighty, so there's that. So this is basically uranium reactant. Let's see. So you can see here we're talking about yellorium, which you need a solid access port to actually insert this. Yellorium, for example, can be obtained from yellorium ingots. Cyanide, which injected from the reactor and can turn into cyanide ingots. Yeah, so here's the reprocessor. It really looks like they ported this mod and didn't actually proofread or check anything, which, up to them, I guess. But let's look at this. So I don't know what a fluidizer is. No idea. A reprocessor. So this is the reprocessor that this was actually talking about. Inner workings. Not too much that I see there. This really isn't giving too much information. So here's the fluidizer. So this is another multi-block. I don't even know about this. Machine build from casing blocks and a mix of the other device parts. Glass can be used in place of casing blocks in all faces of the machine, but not on the frame. Check each fluidizer part page for restriction on where each part can be placed. Okay, that doesn't really tell me much. There's like fluid mixing, solid mixing. I'm not seeing a whole lot of what we're actually looking at here. Huh. So here's the reprocessor. A 3x3 and 7 blocks high machine built from casing blocks and one each of the other device parts. Glass can be used in place of casing. Check the reprocessor part list. See, but I'm not seeing what we actually use this for. I'm assuming we do the reprocessor to get cyanide, which I believe is up here. Yeah, this. But there is also no JEI integration. So yeah, you get cyanide dust. I don't know. Anyway, let's get into this before we go a little too crazy with getting annoyed by the book. So graphite bars are coal being smelted. Simple as that. Alrighty. So let's go. Alrighty, so I quickly actually just put that away. My headphones kind of died in the middle of that. So with that, we've got graphite bars. We need reactor casings. So reactor casing, which is this one here, which is the basic tier, right? So it is iron, graphite, and sand. Of course, we want to use normal sand. And then we actually want to look for reinforced, which should be... It might not even... Okay, here's reinforced. So this requires steel. So let's actually just get rid of this recipe. Okay. Let's actually go for reinforced reactor glass. I always like having some glass. And then what else do we need? So we need reinforced stuff. So we'll need these, that's for sure. Okay. That's normal glass. So that's graphite and steel. We'll need control rods. All right, everything looks decent. I actually have everything craftable, right? Okay. Redstone port. If you want to be able to turn this off, you can. That's what this is for. So we're actually going to grab one of these bad boys. I believe we really can turn this off. I believe there's a thing from RF Tools that tells you the amount of power in something. We'll have to look into it. I'm not 100% sure, but we can look. So reactor fuel injection port, reactor active forge power tap. So there's two different ones. There's passive and then there is active. So we just open up the book here and there is no information on it. Only one power system can be used for each reactor. Okay, so there's passive and active. Okay. I'm not 100% sure what the difference is at all. I'm assuming that the active is better. What am I going off of on that? No idea. We're just gonna go with it, right? So let's get an active. So we'll want active this. I don't really know what a lot of these are because they are newer. It's what, in my opinion, this is what this looks like. Is there's a lot of newer um things, right? So we'll just type in reinforced here, and I don't 100% know what that is. Can't craft that. We need a solid thing, right? A solid access port. Alrighty. So I'm going to throw all this in here. All right. And I'm going to craft up a few of these things. So I believe the reactor casing, we can max this up to 256, which we're not going to do that high. I think we'll go probably this much. Well, you'll also be using these for all of this other stuff. So keep that in mind. We are not using all of these to build the reactor. So we also don't have the reactor glass one because it's still in my inventory, apparently. And we'll also be converting some of these into reactor glass. So let me get the base materials, figure out where in the world we're actually going to put this thing, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, so we're going to be placing the reactor in this dimension. We're of course inside of a single chunk, made sure of that, and we're going to be placing this here, and also trying to fall into the void while I'm at it, because it wouldn't be an episode without that. So let's just get this all placed, and what I should be able to do is actually take our building gadget and do this. Oh, I love that. That is awesome. Okay. Let's grab a bit more. I also made another 1,000, by the way, because I did use quite a bit of it, but we'll place all that down. So this reactor's bottom is, let's see, where's my tape measure? So here to here is 10 blocks, okay? So if we actually just, of course, go all the way across, it should be 10 by 10. So let's make this 10 by 20 by 10. Okay, sound good? So 10 by 10 by 20, I believe. 20 high, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That should be 20. Should be. Keyword. All right, so we'll go here, and we'll go here. And then, of course, that is 20. Perfect. So we'll then build the actual outside, because we're actually going to fill the inside with glass, but we can actually, of course, fill the top with all of the blocks we need, and that should be good. So let's grab some reactor glass. Of course, this is probably not going to be enough reactor glass, but that is a-okay. We'll make more. And let's actually make more real quick. I'll go 512 again, which is how much I made last time. And we will then get to placing this. I really have no idea what we're going to be doing with the inside of this, because I know there's blocks to cool the actual thing, but I'm not sure if what's actually good anymore. I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to have to actually look into that before we get too much further into this. But that should be all we need for that. And of course, since this is not centered, there's no center to it, I think what we'll do is we'll put the control here. which is something I actually have not made, apparently, which is this thing. All right. And then we'll actually put the redstone thing here. I think that sounds good. And active power taps. I don't know why I made 8 of these, but we'll actually put one here, and we'll throw the rest away. As well as all this stuff real quick. Kind of haven't cleared out my inventory since the last little thing. And then we also need, not those, actually solid fluid, or yeah, the solid fuel ports. And yeah, so we need to actually put in the fuel rods, which is the next step here. All right, so how do I want to put these? My guess is here, 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 and here, leaving one block on the edge. Right, so that might not be what I want to do then. Let's see. So we could actually just do it this way. Kind of branch off. And we could keep this in the center. We don't have to do... All right. Nope, too far over. All right. I mean, we could really move this all to the edge, but I think for now we'll start with this. Alrighty. And we're gonna take our fuel rods, and we actually need to make sure we're like lined up here. So we're gonna place our first one down, grab our building gadget, do that, that, and of course, the more you have of these, the more fuel you will use, or more fuel that'll be consumed by the actual reactor, by the way, so keep that in mind. All right, so let's get some more of these. I will probably need a couple sets of these, honestly. So let's actually just do this to make it easier. And I'll knock off the top one. Because I'm kind of tired of flying up and down. All right, so we'll break that. Just break all these top ones. And of course, let's hop down here because I know I missed a few of these. Yeah, right here. Let's make sure we didn't miss any more. Nothing on the interior. All right. And of course, we'll fly back up here. We'll put that back, and then of course we can put the control rods in, which are what actually, register these as fuel rods. And okay, we are good. Well, actually, no. These are actually nameable. No idea what that means. Oh, you can actually change the percentage of insertion. So I'm assuming what this means is at a certain percent, it'll say, hey, we'll change out the fuel. And it looks like it actually did build, because it's all connected textures now. And we have the interface here. So we actually need to do is over here, set this to outlet mode, right? So that'll be output, this will be input, and we actually want redstone. So you can see that, of course, we can look at several different things. So yeah, here. So if we have, for example, a 75% buffer active while below 75%, because we should be outputting every bit of power, right? So we'll save that, and this should toggle itself on and off whenever, okay? So let's actually figure out coolant. Let me do that, and I'll be right back. All right, so I'm actually looking at the mod page for Extreme Reactors, and I wanted to mention this before I forget. So an active port is something that will send out power and fluids automatically to any block connected to it. So for example, if I have a really power hungry machine, I could connect this directly and it would actually just always push. But a passive will never push unless it is requested, right? So keep that in mind. I'm also just kind of looking to see what is really up with this mod. So the actual fuel, right? The liquid fuel from the fluidizer, there is a whole system now basically of fluids. So you can see that we have all of these different things, and these actually are fuels you can actually inject into here and all of that jazz. So tons and tons of good stuff. And see, and actually this is what would come out if you used this fuel. And there's not a whole lot of JEI integration. This thing does say it has JEI integration, but from what I'm seeing, it's not a whole lot. So keep that in mind. But all of these fuels are obtainable apparently. And I believe this green bucket is actually like the best. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I'm reading. Alrighty, so after a bit of investigation, there is a actual thing in the mod page basically saying, hey, I don't have a JEI plugin anymore with this because I want you to figure it out. That's kind of what it says. So here's the line. Quote, just quote right here. As you may have noticed, ER do not come with a JEI plugin that lists all the moderators, fuels, coils, etc., and their properties. The reason is simple, I don't want to have one. It would be no fun having the answer to what's work best outside the game instead of have fun and experiment. So legitimately he's just like, ha, here, have a whole bunch of blocks, figure it out, which is fine, right? And of course pressing F3H actually gives you the yellow text that says Extreme Reactors, this block or fluid can be used as a radiation moderator inside of a reactor. And there's tons and tons of these blocks, right? So Extreme Reactors, you can look in here, and you can see these would be used for a coil instead of a turbine. This would be a good fluid item or fluid, which can be used inside the thing, which is cool, right? So tons and tons of interesting stuff to look into. I think for now, let's just get some Enderium. All right, so let's go for, I don't know, what's a good amount? That much? Let's let that craft. I'll make some blocks, and we'll fill the reactor with that. That should be a pretty decent one. May not be the best, but we'll figure it out. Alrighty, so I have 56 of these blocks, so let's get to placing them, right? And the way we're going to place them is we're actually just going to fill the entire interior of this with these blocks. You could do this with water. There are fluids, by the way, like you can put in here, but I'm just going to put in blocks. You can do like diamond, emerald, so like some vanilla blocks, right? So diamond, emerald, and I believe like iron, gold, Tons and tons of stuff to look at. And honestly, I'm not going to go into all of them because there's just so many, right? Like, I don't think it's fair for me to go and talk about every single one because there's just so many, right? And I don't want to misinform, especially because I'm not going to spend hours upon hours looking into every single little, um, minute detail. So with that, we're actually going to wrap up the episode because I am a little bit over time, and we'll come back and finish up this reactor. I was hoping to get this done this episode, but we'll get this kicked on next episode and also work on the whole processing of ores with industrial foregoing, which is something I've never done before. So I'm kind of interested in looking at that. But I will also be filling all of this reactor with the Enderium blocks off camera because it's just going to take a long while. So thank you guys so much for watching. Stay awesome, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye!